What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Clearly Distorted podcast, where we discuss our clearly thought out views shared through our distorted lenses. I am Damien, aka the Shower God, joined by yours truly, Julian, the one and only prolific hater.
What's up, peoples? How's it going?
It's good to see you, man. Good to be back. Unfortunately, we're down one today. Patricia could not join us. She's got some family matters that she needs to attend to. That's certainly more important than shooting the shit with us today. So thoughts are with her and her family.
Yeah. And by the way, side note, I did not come up with that prolific hater shit.
No, I did.
I'm not a self-proclaimed hater. That's just Damien's spin on my opinion. So he gets shower God and he starts calling me. He takes something we've been laughing at him about, shower, and he puts God attached to it. And I'm just a prolific hater. That's all I am. So according to Daym. So just so you people know, like, you know, he's inventing some rules, but I'll let him. It's cool. But
do we need to change your AKA? Is that what you're saying? We need to revise that. I don't know.
No,
I think it's fitting.
It's fine. It's fine because it invokes a little bit of passion into my brain. As soon as you say it, at the beginning of the podcast,
turns you up.
It just gets me thinking about all kinds of shit.
Good.
Like, you know, watching you get run over by a truck while I'm driving it and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, I love it. So
happy New Year, by the way.
In the middle of a debate. Yeah, and happy New Year to everybody. Just kidding. I love Daym. I don't want to see anything happen to not a little hair on his head.
It's all jokes.
Nothing.
It's
So
jokes.
yeah, it's all good. All good fun. But Daym, 2023 has been crazy so far, huh?
Yeah. You know, we'll get through some of it. One of the topics we're gonna cover, I'm gonna just say now I called it, but your boy McCarthy, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah. We gotta get warmed up a little bit before we, you know, we got stories about cupcakes and stories about just all kinds of stuff. I can't wait to talk about some of this stuff.
It's gonna be a fun one. Did you do anything special for New Year's Eve?
You know, I just stayed home with my family. We watched the ball drop like we normally do. A good friend of mine, normally she spends New Year's with us, but you know that didn't happen. So yeah, we just stayed home and just enjoyed each other's company and just chilled, you know. It's basically it. How about you?
This will, as far as I can remember, this is actually the first year I didn't even see the ball drop. We stayed home. We intended to stay home. We didn't want to go out. I don't really like being out on New Year's because likely going to be drinking, and there's so many, you know, drunk drivers on the streets. It's just, you know, year after year after year, there's accidents and deaths and fatalities on that night. And I just prefer to stay wherever I'm going to be for that night. So we stayed home on the couch, and by like 9 or 10 o'clock, we already fucking nodding off. We told the kids, hey.
That ain't no surprise about you. That is no surprise.
So it was both of us. Joe. Actually, she fell asleep before I did. We told the kids to come downstairs at 11:45 so we could at least watch the ball drop. You know what they did? At 12:01, they come down showing us pictures of us sleeping on the couch.
Well, that is perfect.
Happy New Year.
That is freaking perfect. That's just so perfect. They couldn't have done that better.
I guess.
That was great. Yeah, you know, Daym, for 1999, do you remember what you were doing right when that hit 2000? Were you sleeping?
No, 99. 99, I would have been. No, I'm sure in 99, I was out and about. I was in it.
Okay.
Yeah. I made sure I unplugged my computer first before I left the house.
Yeah, you really didn't have a good time in 1999, going into 2000, if you could remember, because I have no freaking idea what I was doing. So yeah,
I just had to think about how old I was, and I'm pretty sure I was out somewhere without it.
I was actually just waiting for the world to end. This is whatever, but anyway, yeah, happy New Year to everyone. Hope if you had a bad 2022, I hope 2023 is better. And if you had a good 2022, I hope 2023 is the best.
Yes.
So happy New Year to everybody out there.
Agreed. Hope 2023 brings you everything that 2022 forgot to.
Yep. Wealth, health, and self.
There you go. All that's important. So, where better to start with than Monday night football? One of the craziest things I've ever witnessed in sports. It was an emotional night. It was really crazy. Watching Damar Hamlin of the Buffalo Bills collapse on the field. I know you don't watch football, but I'm sure you've seen, clips of it and that craziness. Luckily, or fortunately, he's doing a lot better. But there was just so many weird things that were going on with that whole. No one knew. You first thought is concussion, even though there was no obvious like head collision. You've never seen anybody just collapse on a field like that for any other reason than a concussion. He was just out. Turns out he suffered a cardiac arrest as a result of something called commotio cordis, which is rare and lethal, and it occurs as a result of a blow to the chest directly over the heart at a critical time during the cycle of a heartbeat. Like everything has to happen like right at the same time. And it stopped his heart. But fortunately, the medical crew knew what to do and was able to revive him and get him off to the hospital.
Well, I saw the footage. He got hit, fell down, and got up.
Yeah,
before collapsing again.
He jumped up like right away and then just fell straight backwards like he was unconscious. Like didn't even try and break his fall.
The body at that point just shut.
He was out. Yeah, he was already off.
Scary.
It was very scary because I've been watching football as long as I can remember, since a kid, and I've seen all kind of things. I've seen the ambulance pull up on the field before, and some crazy injury or something, and they're fine, but never has anyone died in the football field
that I could recall ever hearing about. So yeah,
it's never happened. Well, and as far as the NFL is concerned, it's never happened before. So then the game is stopped, and the ambulance goes off and takes him to the hospital, and all you want to hear is he makes it to the hospital and
he's in stable condition.
Right.
Right.
At least, stable something. And it took hours to get anything. Maybe.
And he was in critical.
We didn't know. We didn't know the condition of him leaving the field. We didn't even know that they were that they had used the defibrillator on him on the field, because everyone's crowded around him. So camera angles couldn't really see.
And I saw like the footage. I don't watch football, but I know they were focused more on like player reactions and fan reactions. Like I saw some of those highlights. So I'm sure also just for parental guidance and stuff, they probably
just to not be really want to focus on that. Yeah, exactly. So we really didn't know what his condition was. I kind of felt like Like maybe he died and they didn't want to have this happen on national TV.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
Monday Night
carted
Football.
right
Yeah,
and carted him out. And so, I had my mind on the worst, but was glad to hear that that wasn't the case.
I
Um,
think that was some of the thoughts from some of the players when you see some of them crying on the field,
yeah,
and I think some of them just. I think it's always in the back of a football player's mind that, similar to fighting, that at any moment something could really happen, break your neck, your collarbone,
yeah,
your spine. I think that's somewhere that's always there. So when they see somebody collapse like that, you just don't know. You just don't know. And I'm wondering what the psychological effect that's going to be, especially, for those two teams that were playing. I don't know moving forward how that impacts them.
yeah. I think because of the outcome, I think this. I was saying earlier today, talking to my boy, the team that plays them next is going to have their hands full because they're going to be so riled up and motivated to win one for their teammate.
Yeah, yeah, that's a bit of a macho kind of thing. It's a competition American kind of spirit, right? You go in there way harder than you would normally,
Like
because you got to
those,
secure that.
like the Rocky movie, win one for the, oh, not Rocky.
Yeah,
What's that movie? Win one for the Gipper.
Remember the Titans, but Remember the Titans, actually, a true story, was
Oh yeah.
similar to that, where the dude was in the hospital and all of that. So
So
yeah,
when he finally came, when they took him to the hospital and they induced him into a coma so that he could rest and promote his recovery. And as he came out of the coma, he couldn't speak because he had a tube down his throat to assist him with breathing. But he wrote on a note who won the game. That was his first
yeah,
thought, coming out. And so, I think for reasons like that, as why that team is gonna be amped up, for him, hopefully, to get that W. He was got to video chat with the team today, and they didn't show the
yeah. I
video.
heard he did the
He did that, and he was
yeah.
flexing, things that apparently he's known for doing, in the locker room with his guys. So,
Yeah, it's similar to, just a quick sidetrack. I was Jeremy Renner, the guy who plays Hawkeye in the comic book films. He recently had a terrible accident too, where
right.
a snowplow ran over him, and he was in critical condition. But they showed him in the hospital as well, and he spoke a little bit. They were giving him they were shampooing his hair and stuff. So yeah, we've had, on top of some deaths, we also have had some crazy accidents. So, but yeah, back to this story.
Something today too, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. It's a football player on the Cleveland Browns who he's in the hospital tonight. He almost lost his life saving his children's life. His children were almost drowning. He saved them from drowning, and resulted in him nearly dying and ending up hospitalized. I don't know what his injuries were, but I can imagine he probably nearly drowned trying to save his kids. So just craziness, man. Yeah. Craziness. And as if that wasn't enough. Oh, just backing up a little bit. I was trying to think of the mindset of Damar Hamlin. Like, how do you, like, 'cause physically he's fine. If he's able to, his heart's fine, and he's able to fully recover. He doesn't have any actual physical, injuries. Does he get back on that field? Like, would you be scared to get hit, even though it's so rare? It's only happened. This injury has only been reported. The Commodio cordis, that has only happened 190 something times in this country, and in as long as doctors have been making records. It's only happened 190 times, and 47% of that have been through sports interactions.
I would imagine that there's going to be some psychological things he's going to have to go through and deal with, some professional help before he even considers, or before they'll even let him back on the field. And I also do think that those first couple of plays are going to be kind of nervous, right? What they probably limit his time on the field, probably ease him in, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But that's gonna, psychologically, that couldn't be the easiest thing, and probably more so for his family than him.
Right, his mother was there.
Being that he's an athlete, yeah, and being that he's an athlete, and he'll get the conditioning and he'll get back in shape, but the family is probably going to be on edge. That's going to be a scary thing. I feel life is too precious. I'm not saying I wouldn't play football again, but it wouldn't be my thought in the near future. I definitely would be.
It's hard. I think
giving
in his
myself
situation,
a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, he definitely should take some time. Maybe not come back till next season. This season's almost over. Even though his team is going into the playoffs and could use him, but I think he'd be better served on the sideline, just providing some motivation. But
and you can't underestimate that.
No, that's huge. I think the Miami's quarterback, I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name, but his first name is Tua. He's had multiple concussions this year and missed multiple games. And I think the way he's going, it's retirement time. Like, I just wouldn't. Brain injuries is just something like we don't know enough about, and it's not worth.
Well, being a big fan of boxing, if you pay attention, you see a lot of these older boxers. They just don't talk the same. They don't carry themselves the same. There's clearly damage there.
Yeah.
First one that comes to mind for me is Tommy Hearns.
Every time the second one that came to mind, but the first one was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, but Muhammad Ali, I think there were other factors there. It wasn't just brain damage or whatever. He had Parkinson's, so whatever. But the first one for me, it's Tommy Hearns. He seems really slow. He slurs his words. He's just, sometimes you can't even understand him when he speaks. And if you contrast that to when he was young, and you hear the way he would talk when he was young, granted, he wasn't the most articulate person, but you could understand him. So, you just got to be careful with this stuff. I think that's one of the bad raps that the NFL has had, and it's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan, among many reasons. But putting that aside, I really did feel for this man and
Damar Hamlin
and his family. It really is something that you're playing a game, you're playing the sport. You shouldn't, it shouldn't come to that. But hoping just the
such
best.
A freaky accident. Like, it's only happened 190 times in this country. Like that, he probably could be struck by lightning 5 times and win the lotto twice before this would ever happen again. Statistically, like it's crazy. But
so let's talk a little bit about the aftermath of some of this,
or not even the aftermath. It was
happening.
Man, I was so infuriated. So your boy Skip Tasteless, as I'll refer to
that's what I call him,
sends a tweet. Now, this is before we've even heard anything from the hospital. We're just in like suspense. We don't know what's going on with the game. We don't know what's going on with Hamlin. And Skip tweets out, "No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how?" This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome. And then because he knew like that just was gonna set somebody on fire, set the world on fire, he just adds at the end, yeah, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. If you believe it's so irrelevant, then you should have deleted everything above that statement. Like
he shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have said it. But
that's what I'm saying.
I got a lot to say about this. So as we do, and we haven't had one of these moments since with Patricia, and ironically, she's not here today. But Daym, yes. I got some shit to say. So can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
All right. So Skip Bayless. Man, I have so many issues with this. Now, some of the things I'm about to say, I know some of you are just going to be like, "Oh, here we go," but just hear me out. So, I think part of the story here with Skip Bayless, and now this is a different story than what we were talking about. Aside from the initial accident, but this is white privilege. And I'll explain. So first thing I want to say is athletes are human beings.
Yes.
I think we lose sight of that a lot of times.
Very easily.
The critiques and the criticisms that they get and the way people yell at them, and they're human beings. And we really should, understand that. We don't scream at actors and musicians when they make movies and albums that we don't like. Like it just, I get you're rooting for your team or whatever, but some of it it goes beyond. There's a human element to this, and we should never lose sight of that. And there's a lot of people who would say, you know what, that's the price of fame. They're wealthy. Many of them, you could argue that they're getting paid more money than what they deserve, and that's fine. But Skip Bayless and his mentality and others like him, they believe that these athletes are just here for them, for their own like personal entertainment and pleasure. And for Skip Bayless, he's made untold amounts of money covering this stuff and criticizing these players day in and day out.
30 years.
He just wants them to just shut up, don't complain, and don't dare stop playing. That's the mentality. Don't dare stop playing. The lack of empathy towards athletes, and in particular athletes of color, it's not only unbelievable, but it's already getting old. And I think that's why we have a lot of this thing that Draymond talks about, like new media versus old media. So I have my issues with the NFL. I don't watch the NFL. I don't support it. But I'm really glad to see that they are now showing more concern for one of their players over the actual sport, postponing the game and just the way they've responded so far, I think has been really good and a good first step to not only repairing some of the reputation that the league has, but also just from a human aspect, we got to put it in the context of what this is. It's just a game.
Right.
So back to Skip. I'm not calling him a racist. I'm not going to do that because, he was raised by a Black woman. He loves Michael Jordan and apparently is really good friends with Uncle Tom. I mean, Lil Wayne. So yeah. So I don't want to call him a racist just for that. But he's made a fortune criticizing some of the biggest sports icons. He basically for the last 10 years has done nothing but shit on LeBron James. And I have my issues with LeBron James, but I don't hate LeBron James.
Right.
He's lately been targeting Steph Curry. Anytime the Warriors come up, it's an attack on Steph Curry. And he's done this over and over. I can point out a whole bunch of different athletes he's done this to. And even to the point now where his target seemed to even be Shannon Sharp. The man sitting across from him, he attacked on national television to prop up Tom Brady.
Right.
That's pretty much as low as you can go.
That was a really disgusting interaction. And
yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. So I'll just say, wrapping up, I know that he's done this to a lot of athletes, and he continues to remain on television spewing his pig vomit nonsense. And the reason why is because there's an audience for it. That's what it is. And it's the same reason why we've had Donald Trumps and Kanye West. And as long as there's an audience for this kind of stuff, they're going to keep them on TV. And the funny thing with Skip is that people love watching him sit in front of black men, whether it's Stephen A. Smith or Shannon Sharp. He's done nothing without another black person in front of him. Everything he's done has been with a black face in front of him. And why is that? Because his audience, they want to see it. They want to see him say to Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp to their faces how incredibly lazy these athletes are. And if you know anything about, stereotypes and tropes, that's a nasty one that's been put up, towards black people in particular.
Yeah.
And he continues to do that in his own little covert kind of way.
He's very creative with it.
Right. So, him questioning why the NFL would consider stopping a game is a bunch of shit. It's basically the equivalent of shut up and dribble. But now he's saying it to the entire league. Shut up and just play the game. It doesn't matter. And it's probably even worse than that, because I think this is a bit of a slave master has a slave master tinge to it, if you really just break down what's happening. And yeah, so those are my thoughts on that situation with Skip Bayless. It's disgusting, and I think he should be taken off air. I really do. I don't think he serves any positive influence or puts a positive spin on sports. I think he represents the worst of it.
Yeah, he's obviously turned into a clickbait master. I don't know if I would go as far as you did, because
which part?
I don't know, maybe the slave
Which
master.
One? Slave master,
yeah.
Taking him off air. Well,
I don't think he deserves to be taken off air, but I do think that his time is coming to an end. I don't think he'll be canceled. I just think his success will.
His success ain't going anywhere. It's not gonna stop.
Well,
that's why he should be taken off.
What I think is going to happen is, because even something you said before, that he's only been successful sitting across from a black man. That's when he's been his most successful. But the show he had,
Co-Pizza, is that what we're talking about?
It was successful before Stephen A. It went flat, and then Stephen A. brought it to life. But he's had success before, but he's been most successful sitting across from a black man.
He was one of a dozen broadcasters that way back in the 90s and whatever. It's not until First Take emerges where all of a sudden now Skip and Stephen A. basically took over ESPN.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he was up there, but he got to another level that had never been achieved.
For sure.
And the concept of the debate show, right? You as a person of color, you see Stephen A. Smith, and then you see Skip. So, if there's a general white audience and a general black audience tuning in, well, they're picking their side.
Right.
And sometimes it gets flipped. Sometimes you agree with Skip more than you do with Stephen A. So that was the
rarely,
formula,
but it's happened. But yeah.
Right.
I think Shannon's probably going to leave and do his own thing, and I don't think they're going to be able to find anybody else to sit across from Skip. And
no, they will. They will.
Not a black man.
Oh yeah, they will. They can get Jason Whitlock, right?
Oh, he doesn't count. He would be agreeing with Skip too much. That wouldn't work.
Yeah. Or maybe put him on there and turn him into the villain. Listen, I think the slave mentality comment that I made, just for anyone, if you need a little bit more context, and you just, when you hear those are like trigger words. So I don't want anyone to just hear that and say, oh, okay, you lost me, you went too extreme. The mentality behind it, whether it's subconscious or intentional, it's basically the same thing as I own you. You're here to do X, Y, and Z, and you can't deviate from that. Now, he didn't quite say that, and he wasn't quite making that argument. But if you take into account his entire history of the things that he has said and the way he seems to feel like it's his duty to hold these athletes accountable, let me tell you something. Anyone who's ever played a sport, whether you played it in college or in high school, shit, whether you played it in the little leagues, anyone who's played a sport, you understand and you know that there's a lot of work that goes into that before you could even be remotely considered decent. Yeah. Right? I'm not talking about the guy who goes out in a court and plays basketball once every 3 months, once every year.
Now, your life is dedicated to this.
Right. Like you do a crossover, you mastered that and you think you're amazing. Or you have, jumping ability, or you just happen to be tall. Like there's a lot of work that goes into making it to an elite level, let alone a professional level. Right. So for someone like Skip, who's never done shit, to sit there and get up there and say some of the things that he says, you can critique things and not have to be an athlete, but just some of the shit he says, it's almost like, tote that bail. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I feel that way, but it's just, reading this tweet, I think most of America wondered the same thing. I don't think they would have said it because their primary concern was on Damar Hamlin. But I think everyone was wondering what's going to happen with this game. You have just sports fans, you have people who gamble on sports, fantasy football was disrupted. Like, people wondered, what the fuck is the NFL going to do?
But that's what you save for your show, and you have that conversation after. Look at what we just did. We spoke the first segment about it. We spoke about the incident and the reaction to it, and then Skip's reaction to it. Because when I first heard it, before, I didn't even hear about Skip's tweet until after I had saw it. I was actually at the gym, and I saw it on the television. I saw people like reacting to it. And I couldn't hear anything, and they didn't have the subtitles, but I saw it was on one of the televisions, and I was also watching the Golden State game, on my phone. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh shit. So the reaction, I think, for most people is just like, what's going to happen to him? And even if you were thinking you had money on the game, or you have a fantasy football league or whatever, you're thinking about it, but at that moment, you're not. And so you save it for the show. You have a conversation about it after all of that is addressed. But the first instinct he had was to go on Twitter.
No, I agree.
And do that. And then, what bothers me? It's not even that he did it, is that he won't apologize for it. He won't take it down. He's just doubling down on it. Shannon Sharp doesn't show up on Tuesday's show because of his tweet, then gets on Wednesday and says, hey, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to comment really on the speculation of why I wasn't here, but he basically admitted why he wasn't there and said that, he thinks that Skip should at the very least take the post down. And what does Skip do? He interrupts him, doubles down some more, and Shannon Sharp loses his shit.
It was disgusting. And hats off to Shannon, man. The way
Shannon Sharp is literally handing him an out.
Yeah.
He's handing him an out, like, yo, here it is. It's served up to you on the fucking platter. I'm your co-host. I'm a black man. I'm a former NFL player. Here it is. I'm serving it up to you. And what does Skip do? Fuck you. And he's, throws it in his face.
Yeah.
Slave master mentality in my mind. But I know, you and I'm more probably considered more hyperbolic and, a little bit extreme with the way I think about things, but not this time. I think it really is that white privilegey sort of way of thinking that's guiding him to this horse shit.
It's weird because I haven't seen Skip this bold before. Like, he's said outlandish shit I've seen him apologize for shit he said many times. But this, like, as brazen as he was after the interaction with Shannon with the whole Brady thing, like, I think you'd be a little bit more mindful. And then he's like,
No,
fuck that, and like,
yeah. Did you hear what Matt Barnes said?
Yeah, I did. Matt Barnes shouldn't have said some of the things he said, because
Matt Barnes, if for those who don't know, basically said that he had to stop two people
from whooping
in
his
the past
ass.
from whooping Skip Bayless's ass, and a lot of play. I mean, Charles Barkley wished him dead. I mean, way before this happened, a lot of players just don't like him.
Yeah,
and because of the stuff that he says. But Matt Barnes basically said that he's worried for Skip because people are coming for him.
Yeah, that part I wish he would have left out, because it kind of insinuates he knows something, and then if something happens, he could be implicated potentially.
He could be implicated, but he could also be considered a hero for Skip Bayless.
For warning him. I don't know. Matt Barnes has, he has his own reputation. So when shit like that comes from him, then it's probably taken a certain way.
Yeah. It's really wild how Matt Barnes, that he's that dude, and all of a sudden, he's just like, hey, I want to just give a warning to Skip Bayless. But I think he's doing it because if he does know something, I really think that Matt Barnes is coming from a good place, and he doesn't want. That would be an absolute tragedy if something happened to Skip Bayless. Not because I'd feel so bad for Skip Bayless, but violence should never be the answer for stuff like this. It's just talking. It's just words. It shouldn't be the answer. I'm talking life and death here, man. I'm not talking like. Go ahead, say it.
Sometimes you just got to get punched in the fucking face. Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about getting punched in the face. Talking
about he shouldn't die for the things he said.
And Skip Bayless, mind you, is an old fucking man. Right. A punch in the face from an athlete, that's not going to be a good look for him. No. But if he gets punched in the face and he lives, I'll laugh. Fucking, that's what he gets. But he's a piece of shit, and what I hope is that they just take him off.
True. I was so pissed when I read that tweet, man. But shake it off.
Let's shake it off. Let's move on. Yeah.
So, have you ever had cupcakes at school?
Of course, man. I had cupcakes when I'm an adult. There have been years where I wanted, instead of because I'm not a birthday cake guy, I go for cupcakes. Give me some cupcakes.
Cupcakes. Have you ever had like your teacher bring cupcakes to school, or usually just the other students?
Not really the teachers. I had this one teacher where I wanted her to bring me her muffins, but she never did. But anyway.
Hey, right.
Ignore me. I was terrible. To my wife who may be watching, I love you. I'm sorry. That was just tasteless.
It was the adolescent you.
It's definitely sometimes the 13-year-old me just comes out uncontrollably. So sorry.
Ironically, every episode of the podcast, but yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. Take advantage because Patricia ain't here to clown you. So,
hey, listen, usually it's a 2-on-1. I can handle 1-on-1, but 2-on-1, double team, sometimes it gets a bit much.
Yeah, so. Getting double teamed, I'm sure, is a bit much for you. Okay, so cupcakes. Yes, cupcakes. And by the way, this adolescent shit, if you guys don't know the story and don't know what's coming up, it's totally appropriate for this. Mindfuck.
A former deputy sheriff was sentenced to 100 years.
100 years.
For something that had to do with cupcakes.
Who would have thought?
So, his wife, oh, let me not. Let's get back. Let's back up to the cupcakes. I don't even want to say it, man. It's so fucking.
Just say it, bro. Just say it, man.
So this deputy is married to a school teacher who liked to bring her students cupcakes.
And what's the main ingredient to like a cake? Or it's batter, right?
Batter.
And they were making these cupcakes with what?
With baby batter.
Baby batter. You guys know what that is?
Google it, because that's the most you're gonna get out of me. So
he was jerking off in the motherfucking batter and got his cum and nut all over the fucking thing, and then they were making the damn cupcakes, and there you have it. Sorry, I had to just say it for what it really is. It's gross, it's disgusting, and I had to say it. So he was ejaculating semen into
the cake mix and serving these cupcakes to the students of this wife's class.
Question. I didn't read the article. How did they find out he was doing that?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. It probably didn't start there, though, because it turns out that they were both taking part in creating child pornography. And so as part of her sentencing, the wife's sentencing, she agreed to testify against her husband. So that's why he ended up getting 100 years for the child pornography. And the each, I guess for each student, it was considered
a count,
a sex crime. And so I don't know what the numbers were, but he ended up with 100 years and his wife is getting 41.
She should be in there 100 fucking years with him.
Well, she snitched him out. She snitched him out, so she got
41 years. How old is she?
She's probably in her 40s.
Her life is fucking over too. So yeah. You know what they should do? They should serve the both of them fucking cupcakes every day, and no sperm in it, no nut in it, but they'll be thinking about it. It'll
be
time.
torture. And they'll nothing else to eat but cupcakes, and you're gonna starve if you don't eat it. But when you do eat it, you're gonna be wondering, what's in here?
That is horrible. I'm sorry, that is horrible. I mean, I'm making light of just the story because it sounds absurd, but the idea that any grown person would do that even to a grown person, I think I don't even understand what's the point of that, let alone doing it to children. On top of the, child pornography kind of stuff. Who knows what else might come out about these people, but it just makes me scared as a parent. My kids are mostly grown now, but just the idea and the thought, you put your kids out there into the world, they go to school and you think that these teachers are great. Kid comes home, hey, I had cupcakes, and then here are these fucking people doing this sick ass shit. I don't understand it. I just don't fucking understand the world we live in. I don't get it.
Right there with you, bro. I got nothing else. It's just mind boggling. What makes you do something like that? What even gives you the idea? Hey, you know what we should add to this cake mix? Like,
yeah. Like, what is she? Oh, your nut is so tasty. Let's share it with the world. Like, what the fuck? Like, I just don't understand.
You know what I just thought about?
Oh, God.
I'm glad that Patricia's not here today, because she would have had a blast with this one. I mean, I would have, under the circumstances, I would have much rather have her here than the reasons why she's not. But yeah, she would have been. She's gonna watch this podcast and she's gonna be disappointed that she.
I'm gonna defend Patricia, and I'm gonna say that she would have handled this with all the class and professionalism that's expected of.
Keyword expected, which is not.
That's expected of one of the hosts here at Clearly Distorted. So yeah, I think she would have upheld the standard. Yes, I believe that. So Patricia,
Julian got your back.
one Puerto Rican to another.
Man, if
Yep.
I was one of them parents in that fucking courtroom, at the very least, I would have smacked the shit out of both of them. At the very least, I'd have had to reach out and touch someone.
My thing is, as a lawyer, how do you defend that? How because their team must, the conversation must have been like, okay, you're guilty, but what could we do to minimize the sentence?
Yeah.
And that must have been the strategy, right? Like, I don't know. I haven't followed this. I just heard it recently, but yeah.
The life of defense attorneys, man. I don't know. You know, they've had to. If I was an attorney, I probably would never be a defense attorney just because of the shit that you would have to sleep with at night.
Yeah, but you know, they
Those are the
save
ones
a
that-
lot of.
Those are the ones that make all the money, though.
Yeah, there's more money in defense attorneys, but if we're talking about public defenders or people who are fighting for the cause, you know, shout out to them. So, you know, it's not all bad.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. But you know, they got to take a lot of that shit home with them. But anyway, speaking of reaching out and slapping somebody, your boy Dana White, man, what the fuck? Did you see the video?
I saw it at the gym. Yes, I did.
Everything
Saw it at
happens
the
while
gym.
you're at the gym.
With my wife. We were both on the bike, and you know, we're this is fun, you know, and I'm getting a little bit sweaty, and I'm looking up at the screen, and she's looking up at the screen, and she turned her head just a split second, so she didn't see the wife slap Dana White, but she saw him slap her, and she literally stopped mid pedal, and then fucking looked at me
like, I dare you.
Yeah. I was like, why is it that every time we see some shit on TV, she gives me this look like, don't you ever fucking think about it? I don't know. But we were like, holy shit. And then we laughed about that because I brought it up to her. I'm like, why did you look at me like that? Like, we've been together for 17 years. I've never put my hands on you. Why would you ever look at me like that? And she's hit me. When Tanisha hits, like she sorry, babe, I love you, but she hits like a fucking man. Like I can't play fight with you because even if I like, you know, like poke her like on the waist or something, you know, I get like clocked.
She goes to 1,000 instantly.
Yeah, and it hurts, and I'm just like, babe, like you don't hit like normal girls, like you, like yo, it's scary how hard she hits.
Yeah, I live with one of them, man.
Yeah, like I'm just like, damn. And she's, you know, she talks this shit. She's like, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm like, yeah, y'all fucking too aggressive.
Yeesh. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
So the video, man, like obviously they're bickering, they're going back and forth. She smacks him, which I don't condone, but he doesn't even hesitate. It was almost an instant reaction. Like she hit him and he immediately reached out and put it right back on her face. I was like, that's. And then, you know, he goes on TV the next day and says, you know, we both were drinking. It's never happened before. That's the first time ever. So what kind of information do you think the media dug up?
Yeah. Repeat that. You broke up.
I said, so what kind of information do you think the media dug up?
On Dana White?
Yeah. There's a video from 2011. His mom, Dana White's mom, writes a book about Dana White. Because they weren't.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. She
All
didn't.
right.
She wasn't happy with the man he had become. He was not acting in the way she raised him to. And she hoped that information that she put out in the book would help him realize his ways and, you know, get back to the person that she once knew. So in this interview, which was intended to be a promotion for the book, she goes on to talk about, she characterizes him as a bad person. He acts not the way she raised him. He was mean to people, didn't treat people well. His marriage was a joke because he was sleeping with the ring card girls. He was sleeping with whoever he wanted to. He even slept with his sister-in-law in his mom's house.
Good Lord.
She goes on and says all of this, and even then finishes it off with, on his wedding day, his wife gave him the biggest black eye that she has ever seen in her life. So clearly there's a history of this in their 30-year marriage. Clearly ain't the first time she put her hands on him. And as quick as he responded, he seemed quite comfortable with putting his hands on her.
So look, here's the thing. I got to be careful how I say this. I got to be real careful how I say this.
Just don't.
No, I'm going to say it. So in a relationship, the moment you lose respect for your partner, you can't really take that back. I have a rule in my relationship. We don't, and for the whole time I've been with Tanisha, we've never even cursed at each other. Like in arguments, we'll say, oh yeah, that's bullshit or whatever, but I've never called her a bitch. She's never called me a fucking loser. We don't roll that way. We focus on the disagreement and we talk it through. And sometimes we yell a little bit and we go to our separate corners of the couch, and then we go to bed and we talk about it and we're good. 17 years. You got to have rules in place. You can't overstep. You can't cross that line. It's about communication. So she's hitting him. He shouldn't have to take her hitting him.
No, I agree.
In any circumstance.
1000% agree.
But the moment he hits her, he's a man and she's a female. And I don't want to play this gender game back and forth, because I know some people out there will be like, well, she did it to him and whatever. If this was some woman in the street who was attacking him and trying to kill him or hit his kids, punch her in the fucking face. That's how I see it. But you're in a relationship with this person. You don't put your hands on a woman unless like your life is threatened or they're going after your kids. That's my rules. That's how I feel. I know some people think differently, but so yeah, I just feel like you can't do this. And he's a hypocrite because he's gone on public many times stating that you should never put your hands on a woman. Well,
he's fired.
Apparently,
he's fired a lot of people from the UFC because of it. Yeah,
you have a different philosophy. Let's hear Dame's take on this whole thing.
You should always defend yourself and do what you have to do to prevent yourself from being hit. That doesn't necessarily require you hitting the person back.
Restrain.
I have had, I don't want to say many, but we'll just say multiple times I've had females try and hit me in my face, and you just grab them. You pin their arms down or wrap your arms around them so that they can't swing on you, and you just hold that till they calm the fuck down and settle down, and you separate and go about your ways. I never had to hit a woman to get her to stop trying to hit me, ever.
Yeah.
So
I was in a relationship where the gorilla of a woman that I was with was hitting me in the face, and I called the cops. She wasn't going to stop.
It's better than
yeah.
Back in the face.
You know what I'm saying? And I just think in a domestic situation, there has to be some line that you should never cross. If it's a life and death thing, you do what you got to do to live. But in any other circumstance, I just don't understand, why that would happen. And it's funny, when you watch the footage, it seemed natural. Maybe I'm crazy, but it just seemed like
that's what I was saying.
Down this road before.
No, yeah, exactly. That's exactly, I guess, a different way of saying the same thing I said. But
like if she would have slapped him and his reaction would have been like, "What the hell are you doing?" You would say, "Oh shit," what happened to her? But it was like, bam, what bitch, bam, and that's, I was just like, yo, like that just seemed like a just an everyday thing. They just forgot where the fuck they were at.
Well, no. Well, here's what's telling is the people that were there didn't even respond. None of them were even shocked that this just happened.
Well, you see all kinds of crazy shit at the club, though. So, like,
nah.
Yeah, I've seen it, man. I've seen it in the club, man. I've seen fights break out because boyfriend and girlfriend are fucking hitting each other. And
yeah, but no, these were they had a private area.
It was their circle, right?
Yeah, this were their people there with them.
Okay. So I get what you're saying.
And they were just like, he pops off, and everyone's just like, oh, here they go again.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I'm not buying that bullshit. Ironically, Dana White has this thing called the Power Slap League that was supposed to come on TV this weekend.
Now I watched that shit. I've been following.
Yes,
that
you actually put me onto it.
Yeah.
So
before he got involved in it, but yeah,
right. So they're supposed to debut on TBS, and initially TBS was like, fuck that, don't want nothing to do with that. And then like the next day they were like, the heat's not too hot, let's just push it back a week.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what that is basically a competition where two people stand in front of each other, and it could be a female versus a female, male versus a male. And they basically take turns slapping each other as hard as they can to see who gets knocked out first, or, who the crowd thought got fucked up the most. It's pretty intense when you watch it. You'd be surprised how devastating a slap can be. I've seen people get knocked out just one slap, just pow. I love it. It's satisfying. I actually said I actually kind of want to do it. But then I don't want to be that dude that gets
knocked out.
Knocked out. So, I'm a little bit older, a little bit slower.
You see them tucking their chin and clenching down on their mouthpiece.
Yeah, I don't know if sometimes you think as you get older, when you hit your 40s, you start thinking, I can still do that shit.
Yeah, but your
and then you
like...
try, and your body is like, no, you can't stop that shit right now. So yeah, I talk that shit. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I could do it. That guy looks a little soft to me. I think I could knock his ass out. His slap wasn't that hard. I think I could take it, and you just don't know. So
then you wake up the next morning and you're like, my fucking shoulder, for no reason.
Shit, you wake up the next morning and you don't know what happened. You say, what happened. So yeah, that's the league now that he wants to promote. Now I hear this is gonna be fucked up. It's going to be fucked up, and it's going to be so cynical what I'm about to ask you, but just what do you think? Do you think this whole thing was staged and this is somewhat of a promo, like a promotion? Is that even possible that could have been?
No.
Could you imagine if him and his wife sat up there and said, no, the whole shit was staged. We did this shit. The whole shit was staged. This is to promote the new league.
If it was with another guy, yeah, not a woman.
I wonder if they lied and said that it was a publicity stunt, if people would believe it.
No, I'm sure people would believe it.
I'm surprised that's not the running conspiracy now. I mean, look, if fuckers can believe the earth is flat, they can believe that shit.
But they don't even need to come up with a wild conspiracy because there is no outrage about this. No one's having a problem with this man hitting his wife.
That's been a huge criticism, right? Like, so Dana White, a white guy, slaps his wife. If that would have been a black athlete or a black commissioner or whatever, the world would have fell apart. I don't know if I believe that, but no, because we got plenty of NFL players that have had domestic violence issues, and they're still playing. We've seen that before. We've heard the rumors before. So I don't know if it applies 100% the same, but yeah, of course. Does he have white privilege? Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah. I just don't know if it applies the same in every situation.
I think if it was Ice Cube, who was the owner of the Big Three, who has corporate deals, arena deals, television deals,
he would have lost everything. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
So
they would have been like, well, he started off as a gangster rapper.
He's always been a thug.
Yeah. Pull up some fucking NWA lyrics and remember when he said "fuck the police"?
Right.
He wrote that shit. That's what they would be saying.
It's unbelievable, man. It's not unbelievable. It's quite believable, actually. But yeah, it makes it hard. It makes it hard for me. It makes it really hard for me because
you're gonna watch that next UFC fight.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, does Joe Rogan still do them? Does he still work with them?
Yes. He had, I don't want to say he was suspended, but after his whole little debacle, he was absent for a few televised matches, but then he came back. Yeah, he's still there.
Wow.
He's really good at it, actually. So it'd be hard. It's almost like
it should be doubly hard for you. Watch a Dana White Joe Rogan production.
Yeah, it is. But I don't really focus. I don't really think about, because you hear his voice while you're watching the fight, and it's almost natural. It's almost like
yeah, I know he's a staple of the sport. Yeah. I get that. Initially, when the sport really started blossoming, it was considered like trash TV. It really wasn't taken seriously. Just like Joe Rogan's, show. What's that show he fucking did?
What, they eating the bugs and the shit like that?
Yeah. I don't even
Fear Factor.
remember the name. Fear Factor, right? So that would also be considered somewhat like trashy TV. So it was natural that Joe Rogan got into it. Turns out, it turned into a major sport. Yeah. And really in many ways the premier combat sport in the country. So yeah I'm not a huge UFC fan. I'm a boxing fan, but it's pretty big, and it's going to be hard to
mixed martial arts
that guy
was pretty big before UFC. The issue that people had watching it and why it could never get commissioned or televised is because they didn't have weight classes.
Yeah.
So
even early days of the UFC.
Well, UFC is the one that came out with the weight classes.
I thought the early days of it didn't, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I've seen a fight with the little guy and the fat 300, 400, 500 pound dude,
and he'll win. But you're like, when you watch it, you're like, Jesus, this is crazy. Like, it was just one bad move, and it's you're
and they would be able to do all kinds of shit to people. Like the rules were way more like
the gloves were different, and so the game's evolved, or the sport has evolved to be more fair and safer, if you will. But I don't know how. I don't know.
So do you think that there are going to be any further repercussions from this, or do you think that this is just basically a dead story? It's just done.
I think something else would have to come out. His mom pops back up. I don't know if she's still living or what. something else would have to come out. Oh, he's been beating her ass, and here, who else? He hit her this time. Something else would have to come. It's a dead story already.
That is kind of crazy. So do you feel like it's a media cover up, or do you feel like there's just so much other things going on right now that it's getting under the radar?
It seems to be like an obvious cover up, and I would almost imagine people are getting paid. I don't know. Did you see the TMZ interview when he went on TMZ?
I saw excerpts of it where the guys were kind of leading him.
They were
into
like
the whole
they were like
drunken
leading him.
yeah.
So like he wasn't even saying it. They were like, so on this night,
and he
like,
even said it's no excuse. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but
he did say that after they let him into.
But he did do it anyway towards the end.
Right, he did. We were drinking but yeah, they were like leading him like, so it was New Year's Eve, right? Lots of drinking, probably. Do you remember the whole night? You know, is this something that, has happened before? Like, they were just leading him into basically saying, we both drank too much and we did something we shouldn't have done. Right. I've never seen an interview like that. It was disgusting. And
I've seen interviews like that, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like
it was like I'm gonna give you the questions to ask me.
It's softball questions, and then it was like, let me lead you into a direction. Just you see that shit all the time. It's basically how Fox News handled Donald Trump.
I mean, okay, so I've definitely seen it before. I've just never. It was just so poorly done. It was so obvious. That they were leading questions. It was like,
but
it's like someone. It's like you playing hide and seek, but you're standing in front of the person. Like, I can see you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
It's the most obvious thing, but to say that it's been like a media cover up, like I saw it when it initially posted at the gym on television, probably I think it was ESPN. I watched First Take, and I saw Stephen A. And Molly talk about it.
I missed that. What'd they say?
Basically, Stephen A. disclosed that he's good friends with Dana White, and that but he feels like he shouldn't have done that. That's a horrible thing, and that they should handle this the way that they've handled other domestic violence with their fighters. So he basically said he should be at the least suspended. And Molly basically agreed. Her talking part of that wasn't long at all. But yeah. So they took a similar approach to, I think, what I'm taking. It's just like, okay, it happened. Now what? Like, what do you do? What do you do? Do you boycott him? Is there a history of this violence? I don't know. Allegedly his mother had some accusations, like you said, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I really don't know.
Yo, his mom is wild. She was naming like all the people he slept with, like names. She was trying to sell that book. It was crazy. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's kind of like the same. I don't even want to go there. Never mind.
Damn, this is when it gets good, bro.
I know.
Speak what you think.
Is almost handled exactly the same way as the whole shit with Trump and grabbing by the pussy and him cheating on his wife, and getting his current wife pregnant while he was with his previous one. And
yeah, these guys, they get away with this shit.
Not to mention that they've been buddies for 20 years, but
they get away with this shit. I mean, look at Vince McMahon. They rehired him, or he's now back, like with wrestling. I didn't follow the story, but he's had such of a history of being a douchebag, and here he is again in the forefront. I think he's doing it to sell the team or to sell the franchise or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know the full details on it, but someone like Vince McMahon, who has a history of this and has gotten away with it over and over and over and over, and just a lot of these rich, powerful people who get away with this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But it's got to be more than just rich and powerful, because, well, I guess the power is the key. I mean, because like we said, if this was Ice Cube, who is very rich
and powerful in his own right,
I don't think the outcome is anywhere near the same. I think this is all that be on TV. Perfect. Yeah, here's another example. You mentioned in the NFL how there was tons of cases of domestic violence, right?
Yeah.
What's the one you saw a video of? You may not know because you don't watch football.
I saw a guy literally ragdoll his wife in their apartment. I saw that, and
in an elevator.
No, the one I saw was in the apartment. Like, he was throwing her against the wall and the table and shit, and punching her in the face. Like, yeah. And then I did see one in the elevator. I saw one in the elevator, I remember, but
I know what you're talking about. I think he was retired when that happened. The one in the apartment, okay. The one you're talking about. I could be wrong, but I think I know what you're talking about. But yeah, his career was over after that.
I mean, listen, I'm not trying to excuse Dana White in any way or say that to your point, if it was Ice Cube, we'd be having a different conversation for sure. But I do feel like it is situational. I think it plenty of people of color have gotten away with, shitty behavior. Floyd Mayweather being a perfect example of that. So yeah, it's not something that totally hasn't happened in sports, because it's something quite frequent. Men in sports are quite often abusive towards their spouses, and that's been historically prominent in sports, and a lot of them get covered up. It's just the way it is.
Tolerated,
not even covered up, because some of that shit gets exposed.
Where do we go from here?
We need to stop deifying athletes the way we do, and people involved in that world, and wealthy people. Like, we need to stop putting these people on pedestals they don't need to be on.
Well, it just all comes down to the money. That's really what it comes down to, because of these people will make me a lot of money, so I'm probably not going to be so harsh on in terms of punishing them.
You would think this, like, for the media, for instance, why would the media cover that up when that's salacious? It's a juicy fucking story that they could just put on TV, and which in turn makes them a lot of money. So why would the media cover it up? Would they get paid off? Like, is that what it is? Or is it just because they've built relationship with these people? Is it because maybe, some of them have checkered histories? Who knows? There's so many variables. I don't think that there's ever going to be really just this one solution that's going to stop it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What I do know is this shit's barely being talked about, and it's to me, it's kind of crazy. Why that is, I could only speculate. But
could it be that when they're looking at their ratings and they're taking their polls or whatever it is, or the audience is leaving comments on the YouTube videos, that maybe some of the audience just doesn't give a fuck?
Yeah.
Could it be that maybe that's what's driving this? I can tell you my criticisms of the NFL, right? They go on deaf ears for the most part, because their fans, they're not going to stop watching. They could ban 100 Colin Kaepernicks from ever playing again because they don't like their political or social views. And black people still are tuning in. I've had this problem with the NFL and the league, and even that way of thinking. It's like, we know that they've covered up concussions. We know that, they're somewhat racist. We know that there are like what? How many black owners in the NFL? How many, Daym?
None.
0. So, Like, we know all of this. And yet,
majority owners, by the way, anyway.
Right. And yet, who's tuning in? Who's tuning in? I don't know one fucking person of color who loves football who said, I'm done with this shit. I don't know one. So when you have the UFC, which is another huge sport, do people really care? Okay, well, what do they think? Oh, he slapped his wife. Well, she slapped him first. And
but it's not. It's not
I'm just saying, along with the power, the power is driven by the fandom.
Right.
It's not by the media. People blame the media for everything, and the media holds some blame on a lot of shit. But it's the fandom.
Yeah, but the issue is the fans aren't fans of the NFL. They're fans of the players and of the teams. And so that's where it becomes sticky.
It doesn't. That
no, the people.
I don't buy that.
The people who are causing the issues in the NFL are those that work for the NFL organization and the owners of these franchises, not the coaches, not the players. We watch to watch the players, and the coaches do what they do. We don't watch for the owners or for the league commissioner.
Okay, but you can't argue that there is no UFC to what we're seeing now without Dana White.
Correct.
So he's by default, he has fans like an athlete would.
Because he's kind of like a Jim McMahon. He's a personality.
A Vince McMahon, yeah.
Vince McMahon. Yeah. Jim McMahon's football player. Sorry.
Yeah. I knew you were going with that. But yeah, so he's treated kind of differently. But yeah, no, I just don't buy that shit. I think like the media is responsible for a lot of stuff, but if they're reporting something or showing off something, you know, like people say, oh, they keep covering these fucked up, these shitty stories, and they're giving, you know, this person so much attention. Well, the reason why is because we keep tuning in.
Yeah.
If nobody, like when Kanye West says something about Jewish people, right? If nobody cared, they wouldn't run the story. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So
yeah, but it's like
the fandom. The fandom drives that shit, and of course, the media keeps fulfilling the need for people to want to eat
in
that
front of
shit.
You, like take a hit. You want a hit? It's a free hit.
Right?
You want to try this? Take a hit. There we go.
And right, and the moment
the
audience says we're fucking done, that's when you start seeing the decline in the coverage. We're seeing this now with Donald Trump, right? There's a huge decline in the way he's covered nowadays. I don't see him on TV every time I tune into the news. We couldn't say that 4 years ago.
A year ago.
Or even a year ago. That was a 24/7 news cycle, and it was Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So, and what has he gotten away with? And what do his fans look like? So it's the fandom, it's the people, it's what the people are consuming. If you and I right now did a podcast on lollipops, and all of a sudden, you know, we had 1 million views the next day, I bet you our next fucking episode we're talking about lollipops, man.
1000%.
I'll get you on here licking them.
We have a whole episode
looking all like swishy with it, like yeah.
My background would be float with lollipops and shit.
Hell yeah! So would I?
Background. You like my new background, man?
Sucking them damn lollipops, like, and that's what it is. That's what it is. It's fan driven. I talk to my kids. We follow the video game industry, and it's the same thing, right? I'm like, you can bitch about you don't like this about Call of Duty or that in this game. You can bitch all you want. You think that's doing something in the comment section and all of this stuff in these videos, when the only stat they're looking at is the sales numbers. That's it. It's the sales numbers. So if somebody says, oh, this is the most unpopular Call of Duty game ever made, And I'm like, how much money did they make on it? Oh, 1.2 billion. Is it really unpopular?
Yeah.
What are you going to listen to? So it's the same thing with the news. It's the same thing with everything. We are consumers, and we drive what they talk about, what they do.
It's that ongoing discussion, like, whose fault is it really? The clickbait provider or the people who click on the fucking bait?
Yeah. Or the actors involved in the story. Yeah. It's maybe it's just a cycle, and there is no right answer. Maybe it's all of the above.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dana White, man. We'll see if the story develops further. If it does, we'll definitely be talking about it, because it's not something that should go unnoticed.
I hate when I get put in these situations. It for me, this is like Rogan all over again, because there's a lot of things about Dana White that I don't like, but I do like Dana White. I like Dana White. I like the way he handles himself. I like the way he conducts himself a lot of times, things that he's done in the league. I don't agree with a lot of his views, but generally speaking, I like Dana White. I guess stay tuned. What's the next UFC event? Let's see what happens.
What's the next one? What's the next one? I can't wait for that slap event.
I'm gonna have to wait till the 18th.
I'm gonna watch it.
I know.
I'm gonna watch it. You know, like,
I know you are, brother. On TBS,
and I'm sure they're gonna be memes about him and his wife slapping each other. They should be the main event, right? Like, yeah, that's why I said, like,
that's why this whole thing is weird. Memes are like instant,
and you don't feel like you've seen any memes. Yeah. I'm sure they're out there, but I'm sure they're out there. Daym, let's make a few and put them out there.
We might get some hits. Put it on the Instagram page for the podcast.
Pun intended. Might get some hits. Anyway,
that pun was not intended, but I like.
You like the way he handles himself, especially against his wife, right? Like, come on, Daym. We got to watch our words, man. We're being recorded.
Yes. Yes. Watching our words makes me think of a speaker.
Yeah. Yep. I can't believe we've been recording, or we've been, so far through this episode, and this hasn't come up yet. Because this is arguably the biggest story right now.
Well, there might be some
irony
in that story, because as long as it took us to get to in this podcast is kind of a resemblance of how long it's been since some shit like this has happened.
And by the way, as of recording this podcast, this is what, number 13? The 13th vote? Yeah, it's the 13th vote.
13th, yes. 12.
Yeah,
12.
so
12?
No, it's 13. I'm pretty sure it's 13. Yeah.
Oh, because they had another one after I made my notes today.
Yeah. And he's inching closer. So yeah, he's inching closer, McCarthy. But yeah, for those who have been living under a rock, I mean, basically
we have a new Congress, a new House with no Speaker of the House. Right. And it has been prior to the Civil War since it has taken this many votes to elect a Speaker of the House. This is exactly what I said was going to happen. Those 5 people, which I guess it's now 6 holding up this vote.
Well, it was 20 initially.
The 20 was riled up by those 5.
Okay, so you're holding those 5 responsible. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was 20. All right, but go ahead.
And they are going to cause absolute fucking havoc in the House, and they're not going to be able to get anything done because they don't have enough seats, because the red trickle never became a wave. So
here's I have a real problem with this on the surface. So when we vote, do we get do-overs?
No.
We don't get fucking do-overs. So they got to get to this magic number of 218 votes. Or whoever that person is. They got to get 218, right?
Right.
So we already have someone with who had the majority of the votes, and it's a Democrat. It should have been over at that point. If they had those
that's a
rules,
slippery slope.
But if they had those rules in place, though, you wouldn't have these people deviating the way they are. Now, I know what your argument would be, or anybody's argument would be, well, this is the checks and balances that we need, right? Is that where you're going with that?
Well, it sounded like you were going with a majority vote, or whoever has the most vote wins, right?
Should that not be the case?
I would say no.
That's the problem. Give me a reason.
All right.
Yeah, get comfortable. Think long and hard, because I don't know how you defend that statement.
So, what's the senator from South Carolina again? What's his name? Republican senator from South Carolina.
Is it Graham? Lindsey Graham?
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham today said, the way this should really work is we should just need one more vote than the Democrats.
Yeah, because they just got one more vote than Jeffries. Okay.
So his argument is,
but the 19 times prior to that wasn't the case. The 19 votes prior to that, or the 12 votes, I'm sorry, the 12 votes prior to that wasn't the case.
But here's what I'm saying. Him mentioning that means that is something that they're going to try and change once they figure this shit out.
Okay, so if that's the case, then the very first time they voted,
well, then they don't plan on changing that rule. I mean, I guess they would have to, right? I don't know.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. The majority of the House, will 100% of the time, pretty much, the majority, they get their speaker, right?
Right.
No matter if they did 20 or 30 votes, which whatever this is, it's likely that the majority is going to hit that 218. Correct?
Usually.
Every time.
Every time.
So what's the problem then? You do one vote and whoever the majority is wins. If they did it that way, we wouldn't have this circus today. Now, I'm glad we're having a circus today, but this is, and by the way, there's a real dark and sinister thing following this, because McCarthy is now making deals with these extremists. And I think part of the deal from what's been reported is he's like agreeing now preemptively when they're going to raise the debt ceiling to have things added to that, like cutting programs like Medicare, Social Security. So if he's already preemptively agreeing to that so he can get the votes to be the Speaker of the House, shouldn't that shit be illegal? They're basically holding out, and they're basically forcing him, they're blackmailing him in order for him to agree to shit so that way they can nominate him as a speaker when he already has a majority from his party. So this shit, as funny as it is on the left, I think it's fucking amusing as hell. It's actually a terrible thing, because now these 5 people or 20 people or whatever, they're basically cutting deals on the side to give him the power to basically fuck people over.
Yeah, but this always happens. This is just happening publicly now.
I mean, yeah, of course.
one of the things that I heard was that they want him to agree to how many votes are required to call a vote to replace the leader.
They shouldn't be able to change the rule now.
Well, I'm not opposed to changing the rules. I was just think it needs to go through the proper measures. I don't think he should just say, he should be able to say, yes, I'll change this rule. I think all 435 should vote on it.
Well, if they
But-
change the rule, then they should go to the very first vote and say, well, with the very first vote, it was a Democrat that won.
No, what she's wanting is that if they decide they no longer want him as speaker, that one person should be allowed to go up and call a vote to remove him.
Okay, you're talking about something different.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is one of the things that they're asking for him to change for their vote.
Do they realize the anarchy that would cause?
Well, it's kind of weird because it really wouldn't go anywhere, because then the rest of the House would then have to vote.
Yeah, that they
And
would
it
be
probably
they
would,
would be
it just would be
they would be locked up all the
non-productive.
time.
Exactly.
With all the fucking yo-yos that we have in the House, that would literally be a weekly thing.
Yeah. They would get nothing done.
Because if McCarthy brings up a bill that has any kind of bipartisan thing
Right.
attached to it whatsoever, well, you know, the extremists are gonna, he's got to go.
Yeah. Well, one of them already said it. Matt Gaetz said that
Mr. No Lips.
Yeah, I got other names for him. It ain't that. Fucking another pedophile.
Yeah.
He said, because people, my mom was the first person I heard say this, but almost like the next day everybody was saying it, that the Democrats should find a what's the word I'm looking for? A moderate Republican that they can get behind. And
I know what you're saying. So
in
they'll get some of
exchange-
their votes.
in exchange,
They'll get some of the Democratic votes.
well, they'll get some seats in committees that they want.
Right.
And so they
But
would
yeah,
give,
If
but hold on. Matt Gaetz said that if that happens, that he would quit. He would leave Congress if that happens. So the
Great.
idea of two sides working together is like inconceivable.
Right.
How dare we do something like that? I won't even take part in this. So this is the kind of people we have in Congress that are holding this shit up right now.
But if Democrats, moderate Democrats and Republicans really were doing this for the people, right? They would have already said, look, let's get someone that we can all kind of agree with. Let's cut this deal with a couple of people on the left. They don't need many. They need what? At this point now, 4, right?
Something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
had 214, 4. Just get 4. Shouldn't be too hard. You get 4 Democrats and say, okay, we're gonna vote for whatever. Now, obviously, they're not gonna vote for McCarthy. He's an extremist, and that's the thing that even boggles my mind. It's like they're not supporting an extremist. They just want to take that shit even further to the right, further to the extreme. So if they can get someone, but the thing is, if they got someone who's somewhat moderate, they would lose more than just 5 to 20 Republican voters. They'd lose a lot more. The Republicans aren't going to put anyone even remotely moderate in there. It's just extreme and more extreme. They're not going to put anyone who.
I don't think so. I don't see it that way.
How come they haven't done
think
it?
the majority, because McCarthy he refuses to get out of the way. It would require McCarthy to say, all right, I tap out. It would require him to get out of the way. He's putting them through 13 fucking votes.
And he's winning.
Okay, but he has to. So you don't want to be the one that causes him to lose, right? So as long as he's saying, I'm in the race, they're going to support him. If he gets to the point that says, you know what, we're just not going to get there, Here's where I think we need to move.
See, I disagree.
It's not going
I
to happen
disagree.
until he gets out of the way. Nothing.
I disagree with the thought process on that, because he shouldn't be the one to get out of the way. It shouldn't be him. He's got the majority. If you got 200 something votes as opposed to 20, that 20 needs to shut their mouths and just go with the party. Not him capitulating and saying, you know what, I got the majority, but apparently I can't appease these 20 Republicans. I'll just tap out. Like, nobody would do that. I know I wouldn't do it. I know you wouldn't do it. You're not going to sit there and say, I'm going to tap out for these extreme assholes. Who would do that?
They don't have enough seats.
He would be giving them. He would be giving them so much more power than they deserve. No, there's no way. What he's doing is the only. I don't agree that he should walk away. What he's doing is the right thing. Make them vote over and over and over and over. You saw that video I sent you.
I don't think he gives them power by walking away. I think he gives the rest of the Republican Party power and eliminates.
I disagree.
Listen, because he's already conceding to their request. He's empowering them. If he eliminates himself, which in one way is what they want. They don't want him as a speaker, but they're not going to get who they do want.
He's conceding to policies that he mostly already agrees with. That helps their cause. It's not like he's doing something that is totally against his morals and his belief system. I mean, they're all pretty much there to provide, huge tax cuts for the wealthy. That's their mission. That's their goal. So I don't agree with this notion that he's giving them power by giving into some of their requests. But if he walks away, who are they going to want? They're not going to want.
If he walks away,
another...
he completely strips them of any power. Because then
unless the only way that works is if the Democrats are involved.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah.
If he walks away, he completely strips them of their power, and then the Dems say, hey, here's who we can fuck with. We'll give you the votes you need. Then they're completely obsolete at that point.
Yeah, but where that argument falls apart, because even I made the argument, I just made it a few minutes ago, where that falls apart is, let's say they replace McCarthy and they put someone more moderate, right? So that way they can get some of the Democratic votes. In the process of doing that, they probably lose another 50 Republican voters.
It doesn't matter, because then there's 200 and what?
Oh yeah, but then
Democrats.
They're back to square one.
I don't think they lose.
Well,
that
you
bad.
think
I think there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more moderate Republicans than there are extreme, and I think they're going. I think for the sake of party, they're going along with McCarthy because that's who's in the front. I think there's a lot of them that would have no problem with someone else being Speaker of the House.
No, yeah, I would agree with you on that, but again, I don't think you're going to get. They're not going to do that. That's not where this is headed.
I don't know.
It sounds right, but that's not where it's going. Him stepping away would, especially in a Republican Party, you don't walk away. You double down on whatever horse shit you're saying in that party. The people who give up in that party and walk away, those are always the ones that are considered the weaker ones. It's never the ones with common sense.
They are the flip-floppers, bro. What the fuck are you talking about?
Bro.
They are
I'm telling you.
McCarthy is king flip-flop. He came out January 6th, Trump this, Trump that. He was the reason.
How many years I've been calling them?
And then the next day, he was like sucking Trump's dick.
Yeah. I mean, they're soulless. I keep saying that over and over again. and you just made that point. Thank you.
I made the point that he is. I'm not saying all of them are.
You just said that a party of flip-floppers is soulless. Anyway. Like that. But seriously, Daym, I hear what you're saying, and I expressed the same sentiment earlier. But that would require common sense from Democrats and Republicans in the House, and we just don't fucking have that.
I don't know, because I know McCarthy went to Jeffries twice, from what I read, and asked him for his votes, and Jeffries was like, "Nah, you're not getting it. Fuck out of here." So he's got the Democrats all whipped up together. They are one front, and they're gonna get what they want out of this, or they're gonna just, we won't have a functioning Congress for who knows how long.
Damn, the Democrats got together and they said, we are going to stay united, and that vote is going to be 212 no matter what. No matter what. We're going to watch them set the house on fire and burn themselves alive. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the Democrats are doing. That's a strategy, and it's a good strategy. Let's just sit back and watch the shit show. My concern is, what shit is McCarthy going to agree to get these Neanderthals to vote for him?
Or whatever he has to, apparently. I'm listen. If the Dems give McCarthy votes, I'm out. Done. I am going to Falkenberg, supervisor of elections office, and I am changing my registration that day.
To Green Party? No.
I blindly will pick. Won't be one of the top twos. I wouldn't even give a fuck at that point. But if they jump on board with him, I'm done. If they support,
how about if they're the ones that cut the deal
with him?
How about if they're the ones that cut it? I'm just saying, how about if the Democrats are the ones that cut the deal with him and say, look, we'll get you in there.
No.
But you have to raise the debt ceiling.
No,
and by the way, they're not going to raise the debt ceiling, but they're going to have add-ons to it.
No.
How about if it's something that in the long run will benefit the Democratic Party and citizens? You're still out. See, you're displaying the same mentality that we're now sitting here.
No, because if they went for that shit, they'd be suckers. He's not trustworthy. He's a piece of shit.
Okay, yeah, you absolutely, and that's why I said earlier, we just don't have that kind of government. We just don't have those kind of people in the House. Honorable people. Ironically,
I'm not gonna.
That's how they introduced all of them. Honorable this, honorable that, and they're just not.
I don't know all 435 members of the House, so I'm not going to say that. I would like to think that there is someone there who is a decent person.
On the right?
Yes.
Stop it. Stop it. I will tell you, of every political,
on the right,
for every political faction in this whole entire country, whether it's down to your local governments to the federal, whatever, the House is the most corrupt. They are the most unqualified, and they're by far the shittiest fucking branch.
There are a lot of unqualified people in the House for sure.
It's a total fucking shit show. And that's why it's been so interesting to watch. But you and I are strategizing here. And what if this and what if that scenario? And how about if we do this and cut a deal here?
Yo, we should run. We should run for the House.
And all of them over there. And I'm sure there's some people thinking along those lines and having those discussions. And that could be, you can't get 400 people to agree to anything. I mean, like, I love the way they try to adjourn it, and Republicans wanted to dip out so they can spend their weekend just fuck all this shit, and the Democrats were just like, no, we're staying.
I brought a whole bucket of popcorn for tonight.
yeah, no, we're staying. That was so joyful to watch. I would have been screaming along there with them, because this is a shit show, and they're literally they're eating their own guts, man.
When whatever episode that was, 3, 4, somewhere around there, I said this shit was gonna happen. When they only had the majority by like 8 seats, I think it is. It was so minimal, or 6 seats, I think it is, somewhere around there. I already knew that those 5 were gonna wreak havoc.
Oh, Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Bobert alone and we've seen that even on the left, right? With
Yep.
Cinema and Mansion. I
Mansion,
mean,
but they make Cinema and Mansion look like fucking rookies at this shit already.
yeah. I mean, but as soon as you get where we're 2 or 3 senators or Congress people from a majority, it if you have an extreme side on either way, or even just a couple of independents scattered, that throws a whole monkey wrench in the whole thing. And there's some people who think that's great.
No, that's horrible.
It's not a good system. And like I was saying earlier about the whole voting, if it was just one vote, you don't get a redo. I mean, look how silly it is, right? They do the vote, then they do the roll call, which is absurd that they got to go through all 400 something people, and some of them don't even answer. Some of them are out taking a shit. They're going like, no, you force everybody in there and you say your vote, it's one fucking vote, just like the American citizens have, and it's anonymous. Make the shit anonymous. And that's it. Whatever the number is, bam, it's over. I don't know why
I like the anonymous idea.
do this. Yeah, like that way they can't get voted out or whatever. They're psycho constituents or whatever. Because I'm sure there's some Republicans, there's some moderate Republicans who might have some common sense votes, but they can't put their name on that shit.
Right.
They can't do it. They'll be voted out of their damn district like that. But then that can work against us as well. So but
anonymous vote.
Yeah. Then you don't know who the snake
I think
is.
people would be more likely to vote their conscience, whatever that is.
Yeah. And if they want to reveal who they voted for, sure, why not? But I think they should be allowed to be pretty much anonymous.
Yeah, people come out and lie. Oh, I did. It'll be 500 people say they voted, and it's only for one person is only fucking 400 right. Fucking. Yeah, I don't know.
But this is I think by this weekend, so by the time you guys watch this might be a settled done deal. But I do think by this weekend, I think McCarthy will be in. I think they'll have it set, and then Monday morning we'll probably have a vote and it'll be a done deal.
Very possible. Very likely. But what will it have cost?
I don't know. But if this goes on for another week, hey, I might get some kettle corn this time.
It's the wildest shit, man. And I'm not even surprised. Wasn't even surprised.
Did you see those pictures of the Democrats in Congress? They actually were eating popcorn. Did you see that? They were taking pictures eating popcorn. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty hilarious. But we're gonna see if one Democrat or 4 Democrats jump over on that side. I want to see. I want Daym to film himself.
And I think it's gonna happen because
no, it's not gonna happen.
No. Oh, watch.
It's not gonna happen, man.
Watch.
Bro, they're easing those Republicans already. Did you see that one? What is his name? What was his name?
I don't know.
He voted. He wasn't expected to vote, but he voted for McCarthy. It was the last vote. And soon as he voted, he immediately walked out like in shame. And the Republicans screamed and cheered, but he didn't want to do it. He was standing next to Gates. What is his name? I can't remember his name, but if you watch that footage, he did that shit so reluctantly, and he walked out of that shit in total shame. And of course, they're hailing him as a hero, but he's one of the assholes who was holding this shit up to begin with. This is what they do, man. They're soulless. They're all of them. They're all of them. They're worthless.
I wish I can remember the names. I'm horrible with names.
I'm not too great either, but yeah.
When Jeffries was asked to support McCarthy and he refused, some Democrats were wishing that they had gotten asked directly.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. Why?
Why? Why? Just so you
I
could say,
don't
why would you want to be asked?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
They
Ask what?
want McCarthy to ask them for their support.
Oh,
I swear. I swear.
I I
I'm.
think
I
you're
swear.
I think you're looking into it.
Maybe. I hope so. I'm out. I'm out. 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 I would take no parts in that. I will not support anything that I can't. That's too far for me.
No,
That bridge is too far. That bridge is too far.
it's Gosar or Gossar or whatever. That's his name. But no, I don't think it's I don't think it would be a horrible thing depending on what the situation is, but we can speculate all day. Like it doesn't matter. I just think I don't think the Democrats are budging, but we'll see. And look, if you were a Democrat, if you were a congressperson, would you not want McCarthy to approach you so you can just laugh in his fucking face? You know, maybe you guys share fucking lunch hour
I
together.
would be
You sit there, you
offended.
eat your sandwiches, and he comes up to you and says, "Hey, you know,
I would be offended. What the
you
fuck you
would."
talking to me for? Why would you even think you could ask me?
I would be offended too, but it would be fucking hilarious. And you know what I would do? I would tell him, you know what? I'll think about it, and then go up there and laugh and vote for Jeffries anyway. Like it, you know, like it wouldn't. They're idiots. They're fucking assholes. I wouldn't like. They're fuck them.
I'm too emotional, man. Like I'm really upset right now.
I can see. I can see.
Too emotional.
You should be laughing now, and when McCarthy
Crying
gets
later.
yeah, because it's gonna hurt us, man. It's gonna hurt us.
I don't think so. Honestly, I mean, I anticipated him being speaker. So if it happens, it wouldn't be anything other than what I expected to
No.
happen.
It's gonna hurt us in the sense that they're cutting deals to so he can get to that. They're cutting deals.
Yeah.
They're cutting deals. They're gonna go into raising the debt ceiling with all kinds of conditions, and that's where it's gonna, you know, they're basically gonna be holding everyone hostage because that's what they do. And I think that's part of the negotiations that they're trying to do now.
But the thing is that they still have to pass it.
No, they still have to, right? But remember,
Everything that goes through the House has to go through Senate. So I'm not overly worried about it. I think those five are gonna fucking get in their own way half the fucking time. Nothing is gonna get done.
nothing is going to get done. You're absolutely right. But we'll see.
Actually, that might get done because it's the House that handles the money. That
No,
doesn't
it
work.
has to get it has to get done because they can hold it hostage, but at the end of the day,
I'm
the
saying that
businesses
doesn't go to the Senate.
no, but I'm saying the businesses that supports them would be
yes,
obviously affected.
the
You
military,
know,
all the
including the
government
military,
employees.
right? So yeah, so I don't. They'll play with fire, but I think at the end of the day, they'll. But they know that the Democrats are weak, so the moment they
I
start
mean, it
threatening to
wouldn't be
hold
the
off,
first time. Right as I
yeah,
was getting out, the military we went like a month, maybe 2 months without getting paid. Then
yeah.
when they got the shit together, you know, everybody got the retro pay, but you know, people were trying to figure out how the fuck they paying their rent and car payments and shit like that for 2 months.
Well, you know
It's
what?
crazy.
They can't do shit without a fucking speaker, and a lot of people complaining and saying, you know, well, some people complaining, and I would agree. Democrats, they should have tried to raise the debt ceiling during the lame duck. So, you know, before this even came up for a vote, before Pelosi dropped off, before these new people were supposed to be sworn in, hey, let's just raise the debt ceiling now. And they didn't do that. So, you know, but maybe that was part of the strategy is to, you know, kind of shame Republicans, you know, into doing this kind of shit. That's been a strategy for Democrats, but it doesn't really work on the voting end. And you would think that when it's time to vote again, they would be hammering the opposition, with their votes, and it just never comes down to that.
They're pussies.
It just never does.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah. But again, just like I made the point earlier with Dana White and all of this, is really about the fandom and what they're following and what they think. Those people, those politicians react to what their constituents are telling them for the most part. And then they go out and lie. And the stupid constituents, like all the people on the right, just eat all that shit up. Just like, yeah, it's gonna protect our borders.
I think we're still suffering from the Trump effect. I think they're still worried about what he will say, who he'll support in the next election.
I don't think it's that. I think I was watching there was a segment with Joe Scarborough, and he was saying how he thinks that, and I'm not quoting him exactly here, I'm paraphrasing, but basically the suggestion is that the MAGA people are kind of dying off, just because of the way the election went. The red wave didn't happen. So this is their last kind of stand, before eventually, because Bobart barely fucking made it. I think she won by like 500 something votes. So, this is, her last attempt, her last hoorah, because if Donald Trump loses the next election, or isn't even able to run, if he's in jail, which he won't be, but if anything like that happens, I think it has a domino effect with a lot of the people he's supported and who's supported him. And I think that's what Joe Scarborough was saying. And it's rare that I agree with him, but in that sense, I do. I think they're losing their power, and this is just a ploy for attention.
I think that was misstated. I don't think the MAGA group is diminishing. The Republican support of Trump is diminishing. So he's dwindled from his 60-something% support down to the 33% that he has, which is the remaining, his core, the MAGA. I don't think they're diminished at all.
Same difference.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but it's still, I mean, the math still adds up that they're at a deficit when it comes to, because they're split.
That math is in his favor, though, because those Trump's. If he runs, Trump right
now is the weakest he's ever been.
Yes.
And he lost the last election. Like he's done. Like he's done. There's too much. Even Trump, the MAGA people in Congress are the ones doing this. And even Trump was like, yo, let's end this shit. And they're not listening to him. So like he's losing his power among his political base. He is now
not his base, among the party. Yes,
that's what I'm talking about. His when I said political, I don't mean I mean
his political
politicians.
Base.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The politicians within his party. Yes. Among the crazy redneck in the trailer who, thinks Donald Trump is Jesus Christ, second coming of Christ. No, they still believe that. But I think I think Republicans are done with him.
Those same Republicans, if he wins, will be in line once again.
Oh yeah. Ted Cruz would be like, please, talk about my children this time.
Right.
Yeah.
If 2024 looks anything like 2016, and the Republicans put up 20 candidates or something like that,
it's gonna be a shit show.
But it made the more candidates they pull up, the stronger he's gonna be, because he's holding his 33%. So the 66 is split up between everybody else.
The difference is that Trump lost an election, and then you also have January 6th, and then you also have the failed election cycle that we just had. So they have a lot to beat him over the head with. And as that primary starts to dwindle down to 4 or 5 candidates, nobody's going to remember the 20 other fucking candidates that were there. Nobody's going to care. It's going to come down like it always does to fucking Rubio, Christie, DeSantis, and,
even
Ted
if it comes
Cruz,
down
like,
to 3 candidates and he's one of them, it's a three-way tie. It's neck and neck. It's anybody's fucking game.
I would agree. I don't think he gets that far.
Wow.
I predicted that he was going to win in in the first election, and he won.
Wait.
I don't think I think he's lost a lot of his power. I don't even think he's going to be able to run.
I just want to make sure I understand what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
You do not believe that Trump is going to be. You think he's going to tap out before the end?
I believe that, and I'll make the prediction now, that if Donald Trump runs,
he's running,
and DeSantis runs,
we don't
right?
know yet. Yes.
If they both run and nothing catastrophic happens to DeSantis, he will be the Republican nominee. He's going to beat Donald Trump. And I don't think it'll even be that close.
Well, yeah, well, we're talking about 2 different things now, though. We're talking about the primaries. You said he wasn't going to make it to
run?
Because I was saying it down to the last 3, and you said he wasn't going to make it that far.
Okay, no. I think he makes it that far, yes. But that's what I was saying. If it comes down to those 3, it's not like the MAGA support is going to be so huge that it eliminates the other people. I think they get a lot of those extremists because DeSantis is a smarter version of Donald Trump. He's stupid as fuck. I mean, he's stupid.
He's stupid.
He's stupid as fuck. I've seen him talk in his debates. If you stay real quiet, you can hear the fucking ticking in his fucking head. He's stupid. He's fucking stupid. They're all fucking stupid.
He's not a good debater, that's for sure.
But he's smarter than Donald Trump.
Yes. I think I think it's still going to be the same thing like it was in the Democratic Party. The only way Biden could win was everybody else had to get the fuck out of the way to not dilute the vote. As long as there's 3 or more people running, Trump is strong as fuck. It's got to be a head-to-head. DeSantis got to get it. DeSantis got to get everybody else to get the fuck out of the way, and then he'll have a clear path. As long as there's 3 or more, Trump's still strong as fuck.
Well, guys, we've had this political conversation for all you, anybody watching who's the real political head. Leave comments. I really want to know what you guys think. Thank you if you've stayed with us this long. Because I know that this went initially from starting with one thing, and we kind of just went into, but it really is relevant to what's happening in the country. And I definitely want opinions on that. Please leave comments. We definitely appreciate it. And one of the plans for the show is, as we continue to grow, we want to take comments from an episode and then actually present them in the next show, so that way everyone's involved in a dialogue. So thank you for that. But Daym, what do we got next?
Well, we've reached that point. It's time for the music and movie recommendations.
Yeah. Let's do it. What you got for us, Daym?
Shit.
What? You don't got no music?
Nothing.
Oh man.
You don't got nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Well,
I mean, nothing that there's like, one big album dropping this week, but it's nothing that I would recommend. So it's gonna be rough for me. The first quarter of the year, it's usually indie zone. So there's nothing really big gonna be coming out for a few months.
Well, I got some documentaries I could recommend, and a limited series. So one documentary and a limited series. So there's a documentary on Netflix called The Staircase, and very compelling. It's basically about a man who was accused of murdering his wife, and it's a famous story. I think it was Michael Peterson is the guy's name, and it they have a lot of footage in this documentary of basically him talking about the accusations and the whole process. It involves his daughters, and it's really well done, and really the whole time you're watching it, you're second guessing yourself the whole time. And yeah, I'll leave it there because I don't want to really spoil anything. But the funny thing is HBO has a story about that also called The Staircase. And it's I think it came out last year. It's a limited series.
Sounds familiar.
And yeah, it kind of blew up when it came out. And it stars Toni Collette. Now, I'm a huge Toni Collette fan. Almost everything she comes out with, I watch. I love. She's just a great actress, right?
She's from your favorite show. Am I thinking about the right person?
She's in Knives Out, so you'll see her in Knives Out, the original one.
What character?
She's the one that I don't want to spoil anything for those who haven't seen Knives Out, but she's the one that kind of bumps heads with Jamie Lee Curtis a lot, the other female.
Yeah, I guess it requires me knowing who Jamie Lee Curtis is.
That's fucking sad. Jamie Lee Curtis, the woman who starred in.
Oh, you're talking about the first Knives Out. I'm thinking about
the first Knives Out.
I was thinking about the one that just came out. Yeah, all right. Jamie Lee Curtis. I know who Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. So anyway, Toni Collette is in Knives Out. She's also in Hereditary, which I thought she should have at the very least been nominated for Best Actress. But because it's a horror film and they don't respect horror films, she wasn't nominated for shit. But I dare anyone to challenge me as far as to say that there was a better actress that year than her in that role. Phenomenal. So she's in The Staircase, and she actually plays the wife who was murdered. So really compelling miniseries. And the funny thing is I don't even, it's a limited series. So it's basically an extended film. This show or movie or whatever you want to call it is like an extension of the documentary because things happened after the documentary that the documentary obviously couldn't cover. And it covers it in this limited series. And what's also interesting about it is that the limited series is talking about the documentary because the film crew became part of the actual story. So the film crew of the documentary is filming the documentary, but they're not in the documentary because they're behind the scenes. But this limited series involves them in ways that really connects to the story. So those are my two recommendations. The Staircase first, watch the first one on Netflix. It's the actual documentary. And then go ahead and watch the limited series on HBO. Powerful. The acting is great. The guy who plays Michael Peterson, phenomenal. Just all in all, really great. So check it out.
So do you recommend watching the documentary before the series?
Yep. Documentary. Watch it, take a break, maybe a week, and then go back and watch the limited series because it might be too much. The documentary is a bit on the longer side, but it's dark in the sense that just the themes that they're constantly talking about and the ups and downs of the trial is just it blows your mind. When they get involved with the lawyers and the judge and some of the witnesses, you just sit back and you think, wow, this is our fucking justice system. You don't know what to think. It's really great. A great watch, eye-opening, tragic, and just just something worth your time if you're into true crime and court cases and stuff like that.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Sounds good. So, while we were talking, history has just been made. McCarthy has been elected House Speaker after 15 votes over 4 days.
15.
He did it without getting 218 votes.
Right. But he got more than half of the votes casted. So that
they
enabling
somehow
him
convinced somebody to go tie their shoe in the fucking hallway and not cast it.
I knew it was going to happen. We said it was going to happen. Well, I said it was going to happen. You weren't too sure on that. But yeah, he did it, and the Democrats all voted for Hakeem Jeffries, and they stayed at the 212 mark. So yeah, history has been made. It took 15 fucking times to do it. I love that the Democrats stood together, and just like what the news thing said, it was a divide and conquer strategy. And yeah,
So
the weak ones will walk away. But we had a long segment on this, so
I guess I will not be going to the supervisor of elections office on Monday.
You knew you weren't.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
You
man.
knew you weren't.
I would have.
Daym knew.
I would have.
I believe you. You've been inching towards independence for a while now. So, I believe you.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out the documentary and the I want to say someone told me about the series. So
probably me. But are you really going to check them out? Have you checked out one documentary that I've suggested on here? Have you?
Yes.
I'm challenging you, Damien. Which one?
I even told you. You don't remember?
I don't remember, man.
Don't pick up the phone?
No. You recommended that one to me.
Oh yeah, that is how that went.
You said, "Hey, did you see this? I didn't finish it, but it's crazy." I said, "Let me check it out." I checked it out, and that same week, I remember we had this conversation that you won't take any of my my quote ideas because this is your thing.
I remember. I do remember it happening that way now. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to recommend like 100 people for him to quote, so that way he can't ever quote them.
Knives Out. I watched Knives Out too.
Okay. Anyway,
my mom loves your recommendations. She checks them out. Yeah.
Just because your mother is smart, you should follow mom.
My mom is very smart, actually.
Well, Daym, I wouldn't think anything different. Talking to you every week. No, seriously, that's the compliment. Speaking to you all the time, all these years we've been friends. There's no way a guy like you could have dumb parents. So big up to mom and pops.
I would agree. I got some good genes. I didn't discuss this with you, but I would like to dedicate this podcast to my nephew Joshua, who gave me this hat and would have been 30 on January 10th.
Damn. I was clowning you earlier because of that hat. My bad, man.
You didn't know. It's all right.
My bad.
So I wear this hat once a year around this time, his birthday.
Well,
rest in peace, Josh.
Rest in peace, Josh.
Another podcast in the books, man.
Yeah, man. Another one in the books. Episode 12.
Wait a minute. We was almost
forgot.
We was almost
quote of the day.
What the fuck was we doing, man? Got all the press.
It's late.
And yeah.
Just so y'all know, this is 12:53 Eastern Standard Time on January 7th. So 12:53 a.m. We are up watching this results of this
just so we could bring the news to you live.
So we could bring the news live. So that way, when you guys hear this on Monday, you're like, damn, this shit is old ass news, So yeah.
Like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah, so
that sucks.
Anyway. So Daym, What is the quote of the Daym? Hit us up.
Well, I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You're going to fuck up again in the future, possibly in the most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? We all fuck up, and fuck ups are part of the growth and growing process in life. I hope that doesn't go over your head.
Oh, I hope you don't fuck up too much. Don't fuck up too much, because
it's a lot of fucking up to be done, man. It's it's how we learn.
Yeah, that sounds like a quote from a reckless ass person. That's what that shit sounds like to me.
Nah, fuck ups are beneficial in life.
Well, you learning from your mistakes, yeah, but if you fuck up and like get drunk and run over 20 pedestrians on the road, I'm like, hey, you fucked up, but you got tomorrow to look forward to, bro. I don't know.
Only you would twist it into some shit like that.
You know what's weird is that when you were saying it, I was thinking, yes, I can fuck up. And then I started thinking, no, let me chill. I can't fuck up, bro.
Oh. The point is to not stress yourself over the mistakes you've already made, because they're over and done with, and tomorrow is still coming. And tomorrow you might make another mistake. So let the past go. Let's look forward to the future and learn and move forward from, our past.
Philosophically, I don't like that.
Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to have a debate on quote of the Daym here. So
Never been done.
It's never been done, but I definitely don't like the sentiment. And I'll tell you why. There's another quote that people say all the time or saying. It's, having no regrets. I hate that mentality. I have no regrets, don't have no regrets. I hate that mentality with a passion, because that is not part of the learning process of making mistakes. The learning process is you fuck up, you worry about it, you dwell on it, you lose sleep over it, you stress over it, so that way you go through that fire to not make that mistake again. The idea that we fuck up and just should be like, meh, tomorrow I'm gonna fuck up some more. I'm a human. I just woke up and I sit on the toilet to take a shit just like everyone else. You have that mentality, okay, whatever. You can't just shrug it off. You gotta be fucked up when you fuck up. That's the whole thing about fucking up, right? So I disagree.
I think it is unhealthy to dwell. I think you should take in. My mom used to say, I wonder if she remembers this. Mom used to say, you have 30 seconds to cry about it and the rest of your life to get over it.
Okay.
That's not dwelling. You live in the moment, you realize your mistakes, and then you move on.
That works when you're talking to your 10-year-old kid who didn't make the basketball team. That doesn't work with grown adults.
Why not?
It just doesn't. Because it doesn't. In context, we got to know what we're talking about here. If it's you fucked up because you didn't set your alarm clock and you were late to work, I mean, whatever. But for major life consequences, when you fuck up and you make a decision and it's a bad one, go through it, learn from it, really learn from it, especially if it hurts someone else.
Yes, you should learn from it, but dwelling in it, which I did before, and spun me off into a major depression.
That's fucking life. Life is pain.
Yes, life is pain, but
life is
shouldn't
pain.
dwell. You don't have to hold on to the pain. You don't have to hug it.
Life is pain. Life is triumph. Life is love. Life is regret.
You can't
Life is
triumph.
optimism.
You can't triumph while you're
Yes.
dwelling.
You got to run all the emotions. You got to have them all. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah. Yes.
It's okay to do all of that. So we shouldn't say, you know, he made a mistake, you know.
That's not what this quote is saying.
You know, all he did was slap his wife. Like, he slapped his wife. He shouldn't dwell on it. He's gonna get depressed. If he dwells on it, he's gonna get depressed.
Get out of here. You're out of control.
I am. Ladies and gentlemen, that is gonna be a wrap.
Done diddly.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click that bell icon. I say this every episode, but please, if you've made it this far, do 1 or 2 or 3 of those things. Share it with a friend, a family, whoever it is. We really do appreciate your support. And my boy Daym got one last thing to say, I'd imagine. So Daym, what's up?
Peace.
Peace.
This goes out to all lovers out there.
Woo!
Yes. I'm so glad. I would find another lover sweeter than you, and sweeter than you. And I would never find another lover more precious than you, more precious than you. Girl, you are close to me, you're like my mother. Close to me, you're like my mother. Close to me, you're like my sister. Close to me, you're like my brother. And you are the only one, you're my everything. Every you, the song I sing, my life. I pray for someone like you.
Our boy Josh. Woo!